previously. I don't know if you want to look at it. This was the design that Wald came up with Jeff Amo.
Get them in?
Yeah,
Okay,
or Jay. Is that
let's see.
and that was what it's JC. So that design there extends out. It's a two-door foyer still. That brings in ADA compliancy with wheelchair access. And it actually moves the foyer out to be the stub of the original 1849 building. So or 1939, sorry, out to the code. I know the importance of it. I mean, I do get, I'm not against it. Just for facility side of things. We do have government services in the building also, so there was a argumentative side of that. But I mean, I think as long as we're housing any other courtrooms that we've gone to, like Trumbull County also houses a government service in their court findings, and that's a single point entrance also. Clark County is the same way. Wood County is the same way. That is the future of the county buildings, secured entrance.
Monroe, La Crosse, Adams, Richland, Grant, Iowa counties, they're all secured entrances. You know, we had a meeting a week or so ago talking about security and things like that. And Rick has, with his office being next to the clerk of court's window, gets to experience all day long what we listen to and what goes on. And sadly, it's only a matter of time with the mental health issues that are out there and what we deal with. And we take it for granted walking out of the courtroom. That's what we're used to, walking down the hall. We're walking with parties, if not because we want to, but we're getting back into our office to process documents so they can be on their way to wherever they're going. You know, years ago, there was an individual that was eventually called over because he was walking in the hallways, but he had a sword down his leg. Gas and ducking. And they caught him because somebody brought it to the bailiff's attention. Hey.
Is this something that would have to be budgeted for next year, or you got the money now?
I do not have the money now. I know before Cindy Altman's departure, she did do an analysis of where she thought the money would come from. And it was pulling half of it from this year's ho-chunk funds and then the next year, either taken out of contingency or a ho-chunk. So she was breaking it up in a 2-year project. It doesn't matter at this point. If we started it today, we wouldn't see progress till next year anyway. So, I mean, it started, but it wouldn't be finished. So, for sure. So we're getting into a busy part of construction season anyways.
Yeah.
On the bottom of that list, it's not a very large project for the construction field side. For us, it is, it's a lot of money, right? I mean, that's at the end game, it's money.
However, okay, no, everything isn't gonna stop when they start construction. Oh, it handle that.
That I don't know. We also have to look at, this cost is only to build it, right? So we still have to man it somehow, some way. And maybe the sheriff wants to talk on the manning part of it. That's a complex thing too, so.
So yeah, so it varies county to county, single point entrance. It is moving that direction. I'll make that comment, and it's highly recommended to do it for security purposes. On demand or personnel costs, it either goes subcontracted service, which is a security company like lacrosse and Claire use. Typically, they use the sheriff's office on smaller rural counties because the attendance of the courts or court services. And then we have to make some adjustments. So if we had a point of entrance detail, we'd still have some need to attend the courtrooms itself. So there would be a personnel cost. In addition, there's hardware costs where it depends on the type of security measures we have when people walk through. We have to be aware that it can't be too intrusive. It can't give, it can't invade anybody's privacies or Fourth Amendment rights. And this is a standard all over the state. It's not like these checkpoints are checked all over the United States, but also Wisconsin, to how invasive or not invasive these searches are. And really, it's just so it could be a TSA type baggage detector all the way to what we do right now with the metal detector, which we have. So we just have to address some things we have, some things we have to add, and there would have to be a cost analysis of what that would look like for the hours needed.
Right now, we have a 2-person post down there.
It ranges 2 to 3, depends on the demand. So
Now, would that change, or would they be banning this new point of entrance, or would that stay as it is?
3 should be.
3 should be the one we would need. The one thing we gotta remember is if we go with a single point entrance, it's typically completely through the whole day, because it's not just serving the courts anymore, it's serving the entrance of the hallways areas. So sometimes we're able to, be done for the day in the court system, and we're not screening into the courts, so then you'll see it vacant or not there. This would be a little bit different, where throughout the day would have to be handled, which is the effort. I mean, if you didn't do that, then it'd be loops or
Kind of defeats.
yeah, exactly. So
Is it doable? Can you man it?
I would have to look at the cost analysis. It's close. I mean, we're gonna have to do some cost analysis, but it comes down to the hours the business is open, basically the courts, and then do a true personnel cost versus hardware cost. There will be a cost to the county to ensure the safety, no doubt. So do I have the numbers today? No. And I can't say enough though that if the county doesn't move towards a single point of entrance or a better security access plan, it opens up so many issues of liability and exposure. In addition to that, what our design doesn't allow us to do, which you also gotta think of, is that most new efficient designs, like it or not, doesn't have the workers commingled in the hallways like this building. So most of the people, when they're exiting and have to go to and from somewhere, in new county building designs, they have back hallways and separated off, and they don't come into a hostile encounter in the hallway. They have a different way of doing business. This one's set up that every transition commute is potentially conflict. Doesn't matter if you're a judge on the bench, she needs to leave and walk through a hallway to go to her car, even after a confrontational issue in the courts. Clerk of courts has to walk into the hallways subject to some kind of disturbance. Anybody here would have the same new designs that are thoughtful enough to have a different exit and or a secondary hallway system that doesn't allow that to happen. So our building through the age, we open ourselves up for a lot of security issues, exposures, that if we don't have a single point of entrance, that's one variance, that's a fix of something. But we're open up no matter who's walking through the hallway, they could be subject to encounters and conflicts on any given day.
With the new
Possible to
courts.
seal that area off and have a different point of entrance.
If you're only gonna deal with the courts, which is more statutory my responsibility, that's different. But if you're now not gonna deal with any other government employee, is that what you're asking? I hear the question, right? So we'd only concentrate on security of the court services, and the other people are on their own kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you had said that I think it was from another county where the boys of the courthouse have a different area or some kind of going, wouldn't.
Some do. So like La Crosse County Sheriff's Office, for example, they never enter the hallway public areas at all, even though you'd think it wouldn't be a big deal. They have a different entrance point and interior hallway system that they only have to really encounter the public from walk-up window areas and not have to be in the hallways. So like how our business is done now is that if you have to go to meetings, yes, we gotta walk through hallways, no doubt. But if they have a person that leaves the courtroom and is upset, the same person that was just clerking that has to walk the same steps back to their office with the hostile public person. In the new design in Trumbull County, it's different. They leave the courtroom and they go through a secondary hallway in Trumbull County, I'm sorry, and they go through a back hallway. They don't really commingle the court systems with the public. It's different. They even have a separate elevator for the judge to go down to leave in a different area, so where they park doesn't have contact with the persons that are angry with them. So I'm just saying that, I'm not saying you're changing anything, just the awareness of the hostilities and the event of liabilities and risk to the workers that are working here are high because of the arrangement, building, design, et cetera. I think the argument would be that gives more of an argument to make sure that we do our best to have a single point of entrance so we can control the what ifs and the security issues that make our hallways safer for all of the teams, so that they're safe.
Rick, was this put out on bids and they were the only bidder?
No, so this was a initial just budgetary cost. Put it out for, and we actually utilized part of the space needs study they did, the jails, well, the jail study is kind of where we didn't get charged to do this kind of design work or budgetary issues. We kind of fell under with that, still had monies left over from there, so. No, but this would definitely have to be out to bid or. So. For sure.
So that's not a definite figure, 477.
It'd be a budgetary number that we would use. Of course, this is all inflated costs that they would have thought at the time, right? So would that come down a little bit? Maybe. Would it be higher now? Maybe. Awesome. Not really sure.
Garth, what's your
I
thoughts?
can't come with a final answer.
I hate to say this, expose my age, but back in the late 1990s, previous clerk Forts and I were sent down to class at across courthouse security. And they were recommending at that time that you have a secure entrance for the entire courthouse. Fortunately, we rolled into it slowly, and one of the biggest things we needed was court security. That was started to be implemented at that point in time, with the sheriff's department providing courthouse personnel for the courts. And then the single point entry, like we have now, came about. Fortunately, I left at that point and changed quite a bit with the scanners and at the entrance to the court. But yet that protection doesn't allow the rest of the courthouse to be safe. Because they can walk right by it, go come up here. Where at times we may only have one person in this office here. You know yourself, when you come up here, it's pretty quiet, pretty lonely. So my thoughts are that it's way overdue. We do need it, we definitely need it. And if we start the process now, hopefully we'll find the money and be able to have it implemented. At least for the first starting it.
I know that the governor's budget last year, when they approved the court state aid for the $10 million for the 72 counties. So Jackson County got an additional 63,000 above what was budgeted, so that went into the general fund. So part of that consideration was interpreters, guardian ad litem, and court security was a large part of that for all counties.
Rick, what are you asking us to?
So I basically put this back on the agenda so we can get it back being looked at, basically, so. I do have some paperwork from Judge Dean. I don't know what SCR stands for, though.
Supreme Court.
Supreme Court, so, that's chapter 68, and chapter 68.07 of security says. Public entrance staffing, the public entrance should be staffed by at least one armed sworn officer. With access to law enforcement communications by radio and or qualified court security officers as necessary. At least one sworn officer should be available to patrol the public areas and assist the public entrance staffing as needed. So he had brought that to me too. Obviously couldn't be here today, I'm assuming he got court. And that falls into another thing that we have further on the agenda, but I think at this point, we had to get it back on our agenda, right? And it falls solely on facilities or property to start
So
the
this would-
process.
Eliminate somebody walking in and taking a left down there and just walking right in.
So, yeah, depending on design, right, and this is not a set design that I'm showing that you guys are looking at today. But by that design, yes, everybody that comes in that building, there would be no left or right because you'd be already through a security checkpoint. Then once you're in the building, then you're in, so. Again, I don't know, the next steps are, possibly getting second opinion on drawings or costs or just like the first step I thought was here to bring it back on the agenda because it was requested through the court security, so.
Well, we would put out the request for proposals. He would come back with a cost. Or it cost us to hire those people and bring them in. I would think that'd be the starting step. We already proved that at a meeting back in March, I believe. And we were put on hold until the county board people came aboard. We're aboard now, and I think that should be carried out. Get those proposals.
Because it was approved then. So I think we can just move forward on it, see where it goes.
Just for, what percent of the counties have a single point of security? Do you happen to? Or in the process of?
Most, and I don't wanna give a percent, like the ones I'm thinking that are small rural like us, Buffalo County probably does not because of their linear design. You have a Russ County that might not because of their arrangement linear design. But I can tell you the surrounding counties all do, Monroe, La Crosse, Clark, Trempealeau, Wood, our surrounding 7 counties all do, for example, except for us. We can go a little bit farther than that if you wanted to. I know.
And eventually we'll have to comply.
But I think what you gotta, it's kind of a balancing test, how I look at it, and you have to see the value of security, safety for your personnel and the peace of mind of how they're working and sustainability of having that staff. And then also put it into perspective of how volatile the population can be when they come to a place like a courthouse, either paying taxes, going to the clerk to pay a fine, going to the court systems. So I think you gotta find out what you, how you want your building to be arranged for the safety of both visitors and your staff. And I think you're gonna enforce no matter what, doesn't have to be a mandate, it's what's going on in our community and our high, we have a high need for law enforcement services that put stress on the court system. That's not slowing down, so it'd be different if our population was declining in their need for services like law enforcement intervention, but it's not. So I didn't answer your question well, but I think you're just.
Well, you know,
what's the best for you.
It sounds like just a few counties are not. They probably will be looking at it down the road.
See, the question you did ask, Russ County is building a new facility, Buffalo County is now gonna revisit it. And most of the linear deals, Richard County's going through it, the reason I mentioned that, all the linear setups like this, I don't care if it's a jail or linear court systems, even, are re-evaluating their space. And there's not many left. So I know that Richard's gonna build.
Because I know it's a different world 20 years ago. It's just the attitude of people and it just, well, there's people that need help.
So I don't think we need a motion on this. Just move it forward, let's see where it goes. Or would we want,
I guess it depends. So we talk RFP. Then I'll probably need the motion to get that RFP out. And then the RFP would be on that design or start over again from zero. And so that'd be the other question I
I
have.
would recommend doing it right from scratch. Yeah. So that you get different opinions on it.
this prices could be a lot different too than what's out there.
Okay, so then no, I wouldn't need that. I'd start fresh with meeting with the courts and Kyle, the sheriff. Start doing a study again on what that looks like for using Kyle's expertise as he is the kind of understands what he needs and doesn't need down there, so. Then just for informational use, this will probably be on the next probably 3 or 4 agendas, so. If that's okay with the courts, I guess. That's
Okay, discuss and act on internal countywide space study.
So. Again, this is a more of a discussion as of right now. The sheriff and I have been talking a lot. John and I have been talking a lot from zoning. DHHS and I talk quite a bit on their needs or whatever, but I think what's happened is it's not coming as a county whole. So we all know that we're vacating a building down there and there's some needs for it. There is no needs for it. There is needs for it. So back and forth, we go back in time. We have a building on the other end of town that has 3 employees in it that maybe could have 5 or 6. But who could use that? What could use that? Do we need to build 6 more buildings? Do we need to, we don't know that, right? So I don't think we need to spend money on this space study. I think as like the sheriff and I were talking earlier last week, I think just getting together right now, prematurely to like discuss needs of what department's needs are. Like the sheriff's got needs, I have needs as facility. The courts have needs,
What facility?
any and all. So I mean, we have 9 facilities we take care of. And I can pinpoint probably 6 needs in every facility that we're in. But it doesn't go anywhere if the department head doesn't want that change or need that change. Or we do have, like DHHS, they have people coming and going every day. There could be a need up there again. We know they're tight in space, right? So we know the sheriff's office is tight in space. We know the courts is tight in space. There's everywhere a need. So now we need to put that together. And that tells us exactly what we have to do in 5, 10 year, 20-year mark. I can sit down and write a whole list of things that I think the courts need, or I think the government service needs, or I think the highway needs, but that's just what I think. But I think as and informational again is that us department heads getting together as a department work group and bringing it back to property. This is the layout of the next, 3, 5, 6, 10, 12 years. And we lack that right now, even in the building side of things. So any questions, I guess I would take questions on what you guys would like to see in that study. It's another point of why I brought it to this agenda. So
I make a statement, Chair, just on that, so we understand where can I address the committee. So can I address the committee on this topic? Sure. Okay, so the reason this comes up is that as I sit back and we make decisions, or at least theories and concepts, we talk to Rick and, we move office here, we do a movement there, we just went through an evidence storage, et cetera. I don't think it's responsible for the whole county if the sheriff just keeps on doing that individually, leaning the ear of facilities, where we could all sit in the same room, or at least have meetings periodically on space needs, either expansions and or reductions. You never know if somebody's gonna reduce, maybe a relocation opportunity, and look at all the current county spaces that would best suit that department and or efforts of service. And then see what that void creates to make additional movements, so we're working within the square footage, how I would see it, of what we already currently own. And seeing what best flows that meets the needs of these offices. But if I just individually go to Rick and I have his ear on issues. And then we all of a sudden find out highway might have had something before they're built, or we have zoning. It's not fair for me to always demand so much to know that, I'm pushing my weight around on the issue per se, when there's other offices that might need something as well. So just get all in the same room, over some kind of a space assessment as an internal mechanism, so it's cost efficient, and see what is out there. I mean, there might be ways of moving. We moved the captain back into the jail to open up a space. Selfishly, it's gonna be actually help us when we do our next gen 911 move. But those are reasons why we did some of it. Of course, it helps us also in other ways. My point is, that's how I got thinking, if we do little things like that, maybe there's some ways of opening up space that we didn't even realize, just with some short discussion with the department heads. And maybe the square footage that we currently have can be arranged better, and work through it versus always going back with those high dollar demands. And it's just a supposed to be a cost effective way to do business. Work with facilities directly, all in the same room, and then maybe if we don't get it all done in the hour we set aside, we set another meeting. And we do it differently. So that's my look at it. I think space review and assessment is needed, so we know what our 5-year plan is.
Just through department heads meeting.
Sort of our representative, there might be things we're talking about that we can vacate some space and open it up, vice versa. There might be a demand of an office that says, not to put, I know that highway's serious, I don't think you're talking about something. If highway vacates the admin building down the road, 2 to 5 years, whatever it is, there might be a need to either keep it, sell it, whatever. But I think if you don't get talking to department heads, you don't know what they are really expecting or want, because they've been silenced on the issue because of budget restraints. There's no reason why we can't listen to our leaders of those divisions and departments to see what their real needs are. I guess that's the request, and I think what Rick is doing on behalf of the whole greater good is to see if we do this energy and effort, bring it back to facilities as a whole, this internal study could be a substance for you guys to take away and see the next phase of whatever. And then basically start that dialogue. I think that's what you're asking, Rick. It's just, we gotta start something.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
You're gonna put this together.
I think as we go forward, it'll be a part of the work group, coordinators group. Yeah. Work group kind of just laid out. We need to start our planning for the next 3, 5, 10 years. Our space needs are there, we just don't have them written down. And like I said, I think I know what they need, but it may be different. And the sheriff and I know what he needs for sure. Like you said, we talk a lot on that stuff. But I don't know what highway needs, or is a brand new building going to be sufficient? Who knows? Maybe they want to house a truck over an admin truck. I'm not sure. So that'd be a good discussion.
And we don't know how valuable that land owner will be.
Correct.
Because it would be really nice to get some tax levy back.
Yes. A little bit. I think Garth has handed it.
I'll make a motion that we do the study.
Second.
Okay, motion by Darcy, second by Dave. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And that too will be a standing agenda item for the next couple months, whatever. Soon we can bring updates on this. May not be next month, but when we get a work group together, it'll be a standing agenda.
I just add one thing, I think that study is a great idea. It's gonna give us some idea of what we have, what we're not using. But I also think that at some point, we have to decide where do we want our campus? Is it to stay here in downtown? If we're gonna stay here, maybe we have to look at what's available right here for expansion. But that can come out of the study, you know. I'm looking for that to be done now. But I think that's an important issue because the county is gonna expand. Exactly.
Okay, discuss an act on farmer's market request to look at new build site.
I see she did not show up, but I was emailed by one of the representatives from the farmer's market. They're looking for possible properties to build more permanent site for the farmer's market. And she was looking at either in the city or part of Jackson County. So I told her I'd be able to help her with the Jackson County property. There's a few that we have in mind. One being right next to the Veterans Park. The lowland kind of was swampy at one time, kind of thing. There or on the other side of the school garden, which is next to the animal shelter.
Just tell me they don't want the old highway shop.
They don't want to do it. Well, I guess I don't know. They didn't suggest that. That was just a suggestion for me. She did say something about the Spalding Road area where the lower gardens are, but that's city property, so I guess I don't have a say in what I told her to contact Brad, so. I don't know, I guess I have it on here because it was brought to my attention or brought to me. We can't go any further unless,
And they chose not to show up for the meeting, so let's move on, and if you could help them, bring it back.
okay. That's that for me.
Discuss next on project updates.
So updates, as you can see, our landscaping is happening as we speak. The rock is all done on the courthouse project. We are waiting on 4 windows, as I explained last. They should be here within the next week and a half. The doors, on the other hand, are pushed to June 29th now. That'd be the Main Street entrance and Third Street entrance. All metal doors. So those got back ordered again for some reason. I just heard that this morning, so on our owners rep meeting. So that entails I gotta call our STGS or security contractor to reschedule them to move cameras and door access. So, but I think we're still on kind of par for the July 4th ending of the courthouse project. So we have a strong endpoint of the windows being that week, 2 weeks from now. That'll be the punch list knockout too. So same week.
So we can hold you to the July 4th.
Hoping, I'm really hoping it's gonna depend on those doors really. So we thought for sure they would have been with the same window placement, but I didn't know what pushed these doors back and what's so special about them. But it is. That's it on that, unless you got any questions on the courthouse project. We can finally say we did turn the kind of keys over for the storage building on the other end of town. I believe there's a few deputies working on logistics of it, but it is theirs, turned over, and we are complete, minus the security package. So that will start, I'll start kind of designing it with the sheriff and what we kind of need and what their needs are. To keep going forward on that. That was, if you remember, taking off the packet because of the cost, right? So we just didn't have enough funding for it when we built it. So what that cost looks like, we don't really know yet. That'll in the future. So the bids go out end of this week and beginning of next week for the courthouse floors and DHHS. It's taken a lot to kind of measure those areas. So a little over 80 some offices that we had to measure, so get closer as we go. Forget.
What type of flooring was it again?
So the HHS will be carpet again. There'll be the offices. And out here, we're not sure yet. Most likely will be a LVT laminate floor. Commercial grade, of course, we don't want to put something that's gonna be doubled out less than a couple of years, so. I think your project. Trying to think projects here to keep going.
The site for the crosswalk.
The crosswalk, yes, I guess I could do that under projects instead of.
Sure.
Yeah, so we got our first bid in, for the crosswalk. It came in. At $6,050. I'm still waiting on two contractors. I sent an email out to them again, today. As I did talk to Brad about getting this put on the city council agenda. And that is in July, first week in July, so hoping to get those bids or justification from them. Because there was a motion made in the city council that they would pay half the construction of it. The budget number was right around like $9,800, that's SEH, the engineer did it.
There's some curb work there too.
So that's under the 6,050. After talking with Brad, he was gonna take this and the SEH work to the city crew and see if they can do it at their cost and if they had time. And then, this cost, that 6,050 does not include the painting of the lines. So that would still be on us. So, and then I would work with the city to try to get those painted up. We do have our own painter. I just don't know if they have one.
They have a painter.
They also have a painter, you know. They do all their own painting line. Of the cities. He had mentioned that they were working on putting together that stripe pattern because they're requesting it on Main Street, so we may have that pattern down before the curb work is actually done, so not really sure here. So that'll be coming after July. Here for, I guess, approval from you guys. If we don't get those other bids in, is this, you know, like.
If you don't get the other bids in, or if they're higher, we just go with this bid.
Okay, and it will be half this, so it'll be only 3,025, so. It's 25 over the limit of actually.
I'll second that.
Garth and Dale, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'll take budget reports. Oh, yeah, we've done the budget.
Very good, yeah, so. We have no land that are over other than the yearly ones.
This could be the last property meeting where we're sitting good here.
It's gonna be. It's good.
Okay, monthly vouchers.
So we don't have our month-to-month bills in there, just because the way it falls, it's early. We won't see those till either end of this week, middle of next. But we still had quite a bit come in, so. You see on there the global industrial home base, and then there's a Falls or not. The Falls flooring home base. So the global industrials will be returned. That's for the animal shelter. What happened was that we used burnt umber as a color. That's, kind of matches our wood here. Well, we use a tacket burnt umber. We ordered it from Global Industrial. They had a different brand name, but it was still called burnt umber. When it got here, it was like a light tan. So same name, just a different color from different manufacturers. So we ended up having to halt that project, go to Capal's, get that ordered, and get the original burnt umber. So today I just talked to our rep from Global, and she started the process for the return. So, but because it fell within that bill cycle, we're gonna have to pay it. And then they'll either return it or put a credit on our account. We ordered for them quite a bit, so it just turns into either a return or a credit. So that'll be that 368. And we're at Carl Sanderson's pay 11, which assuming next month would be our pay 12 will be our last payment. That's the courthouse project. We'll zero that part of the bond out, and then work into the next several projects now, because what we had that set up, the way Cindy kind of said it was that if say that courthouse, we came in at 1.5 million, that's what our goal was. But if it came into, we found damage in one of the window wells or something and it pushed it over, we wouldn't start any other project other than the bathroom project for forestry, because that had to get started, right? We can't wait. We would discontinue any other project and put that money towards the courthouse project, because that's what it was bonded for. But we still came at our 1.4, so we're still under, we're good. So now we'll continue with our other projects, which is the courthouse bathrooms, ADA standard. That's in design phase right now. Second part of design phase, and it'll actually give us construction or bid out process designs or prints. So we'll be ready to go once that comes in. We're probably looking at 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks, and then that'll start another next month. You'll see that again, process the bid. So, and then there's other projects going on for farms. Other than that, nothing else is out of normal for those. Other than, wait, you have one, the Cinex or Allied, I think is what they call it now.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to find a different fuel supplier for our generators, as they have a 200-gallon minimum now. And we'd have to run both our generators dry to both have 100-gallon tanks. So I have no idea where we're gonna find that just yet, so. And I don't know why that came about. It was just written on our bill, so I haven't even called them yet. I got that yesterday, so. I'll find out from them what or a recommendation.
That worked out good in the past.
Yeah,
Why don't you talk to them, we can see if we can work something like that. If you
Yeah.
can, we can.
yeah, I'm hoping we can, because I don't know too many places that deliver fuel anymore. It's hard, so. Yeah. We were close, we were at 100 and I think 170 some gallons, but we're just shy, so. And that's not saying that they're creating us as one delivery or two delivery. Or can we call these two generators one delivery? I'm not sure, because it was written on both.
Is Four Seasons, is that Allied?
No. Is it? No more. So that's owned by Blackaber Quick Stop now.
But they wouldn't deliver it.
I'm not sure. I was gonna call Ben, see if they do, because they own quite a bit of fuel stores, so I'm not sure if they do it or not. I know his dad does drive fuel delivery truck, but I think it's just for the gas stations. But
How about Chippewa Valley, the one that used to be all around here?
Chippewa Valley.
we'll definitely look.
They got. Okay,
Yeah, they were the ones that were competing against the Federation outfit there for quite a while.
Yeah, we'll look into it. Yeah, I gotta find something we can. And there's no way we're gonna do 30 gallons at a time, cracking that thing with a little hand cranker, that's. Generators. Yeah, you never know. Like, if that's the case, we're gonna. I see a pretty hefty fuel bill, I would imagine, because we're gonna pay pump price versus. Other price. Still could go. Off-road diesel, but it's still. Yeah.
Now, like for, the county trucks, like your pickups and that, where do they fuel?
So we have Quick Trip or. Quick Stop. The old Cinex.
So we don't get a lot of fuel from that.
No, not anymore, because they used to own that, so we did all the time,
Yeah.
so assuming that's the.
You have the county trucks and everything.
I'm sure that was. Part of it. I'm sure highways fuel bill was huge. I can imagine. I see them fueling every day, so. It's a big one, it's gotta be a lot, so.
Talk to her.
Yeah.
maybe it's beneficial for. But for, highway to have their own tank.
We tossed the idea around. There's a lot of maintenance to that too,
Yeah.
you know, the pumps and.
What was it, John's? Big guy.
And the amount of discounts that we get from like just Quick Trip alone. You know, I don't think having our own is. Even having our own would cost us more on maintenance of the pumps and the tanks and the. Probably licenses that we have to have.
Diesel generators,
Yeah,
if they won't work with you, you could buy a 100-gallon portable tank with a electric pump, have it in the back of your pickup. And go down and buy the off-road fuel.
If it's a Ford, you could have a 200-gallon tank. Yeah, question for you, nothing to do with this. Can the county trucks, like your dump trucks and that, can they use red fuel?
No.
No, because they're on.
They gotta use the on-road, regular highway fuel.
Motion to pay the bills. Thank you. Those in favor,
I,
opposed? One more motion.
I'll make that motion, sure.
Okay, do I have a second?
second,
made the motion for the vouchers. She's second her.
I second.
Yeah, I mean.
Heard it.
You just get who you.
Right and talking and talking like.
Another day in there.